beg. Hello guys, and welcome to my YouTube video. Stop! You're a mess, Get out of it.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
This video is going to be impossible to make. Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Neetu and I am a second year English language and literature student at Oxford University, and I'm from East London. I'm going to be doing a Q&A in this video. This is the second Q&A. If you haven't seen the first one, then I will put a link down below. I also have a chava cup, which is very good. You can see the Malay over there. For those of you who don't know what that means, I have a cup of Indian tea, a cup of chai. Malay? What's Malay in English?
It's like a film on the top of the jar.
So it's the film that forms at the top of the milk, which is obviously fat. And so, like, that's disgusting. So I just got it down on the side. I'm going to be drinking the tea, the chai, the jar, whatever you want to call it, while I do the Q&A. So I'm going to be looking at some of the questions on my laptop. When did you know that you want to go to Oxford University? I think I kind of knew after I did a summer school. It was with one of the specific colleges, which is Pembroke College. It was basically for students from low socioeconomic backgrounds and from BAME backgrounds, and obviously I'm both, so great. For the first time I realised that Oxford was somewhere where I could be. Being like a nerd or being like a geek wasn't necessarily a negative thing. It was actually something that was celebrated. We all had to write an essay at like undergraduate degree level, and I wrote about metaphysical poems. Writing an essay about those things, realising that I could even do that in the first place, realising that I could be intelligent enough, and having that experience for me was very empowering. And I also met other people. A lot of them were other women of colour from different parts of London, different parts of the UK. I also met some really wonderful people who had come all the way from India, and these man, they're so smart. Like, the education system in India is so different. Even though it was a summer school and it's meant to be fun, they really studied really hard. A part of that really inspired me as well. So it was definitely that summer school, and that was in year 12. So in the summer of year 12, so just before you're about to send your applications through to Oxford. So someone asked me if I'm on a scholarship. Moritz Hayman scholarship program. It's now called the Crankstart Scholarship Program, and that's basically for students from low socioeconomic backgrounds. And what it does is it reduces the tuition fee for home students. Going to uni is like just over £9,000 a year, and being a Crankstart. So being a Crankstart scholar basically means you have the £9,000 reduced, so you pay £6,250 a year. So when we get the debt later on in life, it will be lower, basically. They also give you a bursary, so they give you free money essentially every term to help you get through term. It means that I don't necessarily have to work in the holidays or the vacations. When you have so much work to do during term, and then you have a lot of work to do during the holidays, working can become really difficult. Studying to prepare for the next term and also to catch up from term, having that money there can make sure that you're basically doing okay for the whole year, not just during term. If finance is something you're worried about, I'll put a link in the description box to show you guys and direct you guys to that page, because it can be a bit complicated. Someone asked, what has the hardest thing been in terms of having to adapt to the different lifestyle of Oxford? The hardest thing, I think the hardest thing I would say is, I don't know, I knew Oxford was going to be hard. I just didn't know how hard it would be. I think at the end of first year, I kind of was like, okay, fine, I've done first year. I know how Oxford works. I understand the rhythm of it now. But actually, I think I realised that it's a learning curve every term, because every term is so unique and so intense that actually it's just hard every term. I think the hardest things in terms of adapting things that I would say I've had to change. I think what took me by surprise personally was facilitating the academics. So it's about, when you're away from home, about functioning like by yourself and maintaining your own sanity, and I guess I've talked quite a lot about mental health in previous videos, but maintaining that sanity and maintaining that happiness outside of your family and outside of home is actually quite hard to do, and having that sense of community, especially for me, like I'm from a massive family, so for me, going away from home and trying to get that sense of community that I feel at home, trying to almost recreate that in an Oxford atmosphere or in a uni atmosphere is a very difficult thing to do, and sometimes it's a naive thing to do, because at the end of the day, like, family is family and uni is uni, and they're actually two very different environments. So I think the hardest thing for me has been kind of the living out aspect, while managing the hard workload at Oxford. Okay, someone asked, what college are you at? I'm at Pembroke College. Look at that. That was perfect. You know when Lily Singh goes, "What's up, t-shirt reference?" That's me, mate. What's the college parent thing about? Is it nice? Do you have college parents? At Oxford, there's a tradition where you have college parents and college siblings. It's basically people in the year above who become your mum and dad, or mum, dad, or dad, or mum, whatever. Then you have people in your year group who do the same subjects or very similar subjects, and they become your siblings. And I think the point of it is to give you a sense of community when you first start Oxford, because Oxford is so intense and can be isolating and can be lonely, and you don't know who to reach out to, especially in like Freshers Week and the first few weeks of term. Having college parents really helps with that. So I have, for example, 2 college wives who are my 2 very good friends. We are like in a 3-way marriage. 2020, mate. And then we have 4 kids. I like the college parents thing. My college brother and I are actually really close, almost taking advantage of the fact that we're siblings and giving each other that support. It does give you a sense of community. At first, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, what was like, this is moist, what is going on? But I think when I got into it and eased into it, I realized that actually it's actually quite a sweet thing to have, especially when it works and when people put the effort in. And I can say that, you know, the people that I'm interconnected with and on a college family basis, whether that be like college parents, college siblings, college kids, my college wives, like it's all very wholesome. So for me, yeah, I think it is definitely worth it. So someone said, how is life at Oxford? I would say kind of in a nutshell, it's like challenging and humbling. So challenging in the sense that there's a lot of work to do all the time, and Oxford is very unapologetic about how much work it gives you and about how much work you have to do on a weekly basis. Humbling in the sense that you will realize that you are great in what you do, but also you kind of start off thinking you're the smartest in your class, the smartest in your school, and you come in and you're like, that was wrong. I would say tough love is probably a good word to sum it up. You have to learn to really love yourself and look after yourself. And that's a skill that can take time, especially when you come from backgrounds where you've had a lot of people look after you and feed you and love you. To do that all by yourself, to yourself, exhausting. So yeah, life at Oxford is good. It's bloody hard. That's one thing that I'm very keen to let people know about, because I don't want people to think, oh my God, I want to go to Oxford, and not necessarily understand the things that come with that as well. Did you find it hard to settle in and find your people when you first came? Yeah, definitely. And I think I've talked about it in one of my videos. I had my first like formal dinner, and formal dinners are mad because it's like a huge Harry Potter hall. You have all these people in suits and ties and fancy dresses and heels and like red wine, white wine, and like 3 knives and 3 forks and a spoon and like candles and portraits of these dead old white men, and you're like, what is going on? And I went in and I was confused and I felt so out of place. And I felt this really weird sense of Anglophilia to it. That basically means like this love of like being English and being British and essentially being white. It made me feel really uncomfortable. If being successful means being this kind of westernized, I don't know, educated person, like I don't want to be successful. Like, why can't you be successful and like have, I don't know, Indian food? Why can't you be successful and not drink red wine and not drink white wine? Why can't you be successful and eat with your hands? Like, why do you have to have, I don't know, all this fancy food that I didn't even understand? Like, it made me feel very out of place. I was like on the verge of tears before, like during and after it. It made me reconsider why I was here, why I was there. And it made me just think like, maybe I shouldn't have come to Oxford. I could have just gone to a London uni and been happier. Yeah, another memory that I have of first year is my friend and I, Samira, we were like in the library and it was first week, or it was Freshers Week, I think, at the end of Freshers Week. And we were sat there and we were just like, why are we here? Because we were working until like 4 a.m. because we'd been told we have essays due in like a few days. It was so hard. Like, we were just so sad and we felt so lonely. But the magic of it is that we did have each other in that moment, and that's one thing that I would definitely say. Like, you do find your people. It was hard to find them, but at the same time, when there's such a lack of diversity at Oxford, man, it's bare easy. You just see the 2, 3, 4 brown people and you're like, right, let's try and see this works. Let's see if we have things in common. If we don't, calm. If we do, fantastic, you're my buddy. And I also think, you know, I did extracurriculars, I joined societies, went to events where I would find like-minded people. I also connected to a lot of the people who are also Crank Start scholars. So basically I connected to a lot of people who came from the same background as me. But at the same time, don't get me wrong, I have very positive relationships with people who are from completely different backgrounds, and I think that's one of the good things about going to somewhere like Oxford. No, yeah, I just think in those first kind of few weeks of being at Oxford, you feel this unwavering sense of I don't belong here, and you just feel the sense of imposter syndrome for whatever reason that could be. It could be because you don't feel smart enough, it could be because of your race or because of your gender or even your sexuality, your class, it could be because of any part of your identity. You're just like I'm a minority, and the second you feel that, you're just like, man, like maybe I should not come here. Yeah, I mean there were so many times in those first like 3-4 weeks where I was like, I am going home, I don't know why I'm here. You do learn and you challenge yourself and you realise that you can do it. And when you can't do it, you realise that it's fine, because it's literally just one essay. It's like so abstract, it's not gonna, like, nothing's gonna happen if you don't do that one essay or if you have to ask for an extension. So yeah, I mean, I did find it hard to settle in, but one thing I would say is that I still find it hard to settle in. That sense of like, I don't know, of settling in, of feeling settled in at somewhere like Oxford. And this is me giving you guys, or whoever's watching, advice if you want it, I don't know. Once you kind of develop this sense of indifference, the indifference that Oxford has towards you, or the indifference that a school or a university or college or organisation, somewhere you work, whatever, that the indifference that it feels towards you, you feel that bad. So don't let it get to you in that sense, which is really hard. It requires a lot of grit, and that's something that I definitely haven't developed fully yet at all. But yeah, that's one thing I would say.
Nippy, say hi!
Did you take a big
Nippy! Hi, Babu! Hi, baby.
A few moments later.
Next question, you thought about future career paths. I mean, I've thought about them, yes. I've thought about how unemployable I will become after this English degree. I mean, with English, it's not necessarily vocational, so it doesn't go directly into one career path. You can kind of do whatever. So I've kind of thought about publishing, journalism. I thought a bit about law. Like, the law, it just looks dead. Like, I have to be really passionate about something in order for me to make it happen at any cost, and I just haven't felt that with law. I know I want to make positive change, but I just don't know how, and I don't know what the best tools would be to do that. There's a few things that I'm kind of thinking about, but I don't necessarily know which direction yet. If I do, I'll let you guys know, but for now, I'm baffed, mate. I'm baffed. What's a better option? Submitting open application or for an individual college at Oxford Uni? Open application basically just means submitting to the uni and not submitting to a particular college, and then they just give you a college. I find that kind of risky, but also if you don't mind, then that's up to you. But personally, individual college feels like the best for me. And if you're kind of thinking about things like chances and statistics and trying to beat the system almost, I find that stuff just a waste of time, quite frankly. Your application will be good enough if you need to get in, and if it's not good enough and you want to, apply again. Like, it's not the end of the world. I can't imagine being sent anywhere else, like any random college. I feel like that's, for me personally, that's quite scary, because what if it turns out to be one of the most expensive ones? What if it turns out to be really far from like your lectures or from your classes? What if the food's really bad? Knowledge is available everywhere, but why Oxford University? And again, I would be quite honest with this one and say it is ranked the best uni in the world. That means that, you know, it carries a certain amount of prestige, respect. To get through 3 or 4 or 6 years at Oxford University, you need a lot of grit, a lot of strength. The tutorial system is wicked. So yeah, and again, I've talked about this before in other videos. I'm really glad that you highlighted that knowledge is available everywhere, because I know it's very normal to put Oxford on a pedestal because it is ranked the best, and I know, you know, it does have a history of being the best because of inequalities that have existed before that. But yeah, I'm glad you highlighted that, because knowledge is available everywhere, and if, you know, you're in this pursuit for knowledge and you want to develop as a person, you will develop at, you know, as a person somewhere else as well. The best and worst parts, that is a hefty question. Oh my god, is it Snoopy? I would say the best parts are definitely freedom and independence. Again, like meeting incredible kind people. That is something that I would definitely say has been really nice, especially last term where it was so hard. Snoopy, man, stop playing. Snoopy!
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
I would say like the events that are available at Oxford, like going to the English faculty, so going to our department building and meeting incredible people and going to panels and hearing people. Snoopy, man. We had the volleyball, which was sick, and having the opportunity to like create and start off a Bhangra like dance team and starting off weekly dance classes, performing at the volleyball, having wicked food, going to Pembroke, ball, and spending like good quality time with like friends is so nice. Like we'll just sit and like, I don't know, have chai and just sit and talk and chat about how the day's gone, and that's really nice. Or like going to like a nice cafe and like meeting new people as well and learning from them is really nice. And I feel like university really allows for those things to happen, those interactions to happen. And obviously like learning, like obviously we're there because we like academics, like learning interesting stuff, geeking out. Worst parts, lol. It's just really hard in so many ways, and you have to you come in kind of, I mean, I came in kind of a young girl, and I feel like I'm leaving as a grown woman. Well, not grown, but like semi-grown, like a little bit. I'm still 5'3". You're just learning constantly, whether that is about yourself, about people, about friendships. And obviously your degree, like learning those lessons can be hard. Having to have really constructive and tough conversations with yourself about being okay with not being okay sometimes, and also realizing when you need to stop, and realizing when's healthy to stop and when's healthy to take a break and when's healthy to keep going. Finding that balance as well. I would say those are kind of the worst parts. He keeps playing with everything that he finds, so he's making so much noise. So I'm just gonna hold him until he runs away. Okay, so this video is a mission. Oh my god, this is so hard. It's an extreme sport at this rate. Has the lack in diversity at Oxford affected you and how you feel during your time at uni? I thought at first that it was like a race thing, that I look different. But I also think it's a lot of other things bigger than that you don't necessarily realise, like your values, your principles, your habits, your hobbies. They end up being very different to the majority of your cohort. So drinking is a really important part of socialising at uni. And when you don't do that, it makes it a little bit difficult or a little bit more awkward for you and for people around you. And also some people do drink, but not in the way that people at Oxford do. Like they might drink with their family, or they might drink at occasions only, or they might drink very little. But then at uni, people, it becomes really important. I think faith, having religion, being religious, that becomes a little bit difficult. I read about this in Taking Up Space. It's very normal at somewhere like Oxford or Cambridge, or like any uni really, for people to be like, we're about logic and reason, and believing in God is illogical, or believing in God doesn't make sense, or whatever. It's not about that. It's about that faith that you feel when you believe. Like, to believe is to have faith, and that becomes almost quite different and excluding. So yeah, I would say it definitely has. But one thing I would say is, it's not your job to be the diversity person in the room. You're not getting paid to do that. So just because you're a woman of colour, and Francesca, I know you've sent this in, and being a minority, being a woman of colour in a very white, male, straight space, may make you think like it's your responsibility all the time. Don't burden yourself with it. Choose it. If you want to talk about these things, if you want to have these conversations with people who don't understand or who are ignorant, that's fine. Educate them, have those, constructive and healthy conversations. But if you don't want to, like, leave it. And you said how it makes you feel, and it makes you feel like crap. It makes you feel like you don't belong. It reinforces imposter syndrome. So I definitely say that, yeah. How do you survive eating hall's food? Lol. Right, so the food in hall, yeah, it's not very good. You just kind of firm it. One of my friends does that all the time. He just puts loads of salt on his food and he says, I just like firm it. And I personally can't do that. I just don't go and I cook. Or I go only sometimes. I check the menu in advance and then I go to the ones that seem pretty decent. Does Oxford kind of encourage you to be indoors studying and introverted all the time? I guess it kind of does, yeah. It basically encourages you to prioritise your work all the time. And not everyone wants to do that. Like, we're there to develop other skills, develop interests, to get employability as well. Like, if you're doing certain extracurriculars, they'll probably make you more employable. Or if you have other interests, it'll probably make you more employable. So yeah, it does encourage you to be very academic and put your academics first all the time. What are your tips for when you feel pressure when it comes to assignments and getting top grades? And I'll say this is from day one. I've never really cared about grades. I've only cared about effort. So for me, it's always been, I need to put an A for effort into everything that I do, whatever the outcome. For me, the best way to manage that pressure and that stress is to quantify it by how much effort am I putting in, as opposed to what is the outcome, what is the grade. And then when you try your best and you get the feedback that you get, it will help you build onto your next assignment. where you can try your best and then achieve a certain grade that you want to achieve, or whatever, get a certain mark that you want to get. So guys, those are the end of the questions. I am so sorry this video is probably going to be long, but I'll put some timestamps in below. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, please share, please share this content. The reason why I say it is because I want it to get to as many people as it can who are considering applying to Oxford or higher education, or just want to know a bit about uni or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm going to try and upload as regularly as I can, but just to let you guys know, if you've watched the previous video, I am doing better, like I am feeling more positive, but I'll keep you guys posted. If you want more Q&As, let me know. If you have any other questions, message me on Instagram or message me below on YouTube, and I'll try to answer them. Thank you to everyone for sending in questions. Bye guys!